A senior defense official just said something that's making Pentagon generals sweat. You can jailbreak an F-35 just like an iPhone. Wait, what? The world's most advanced fighter jet, the $1.7 trillion program, can be hacked like your smartphone? This isn't a conspiracy theory. This is the Dutch State Secretary for Defense speaking on national radio. And what he revealed exposes a billion-dollar vulnerability that could shift the entire balance of global military power. Before we dive into how this is possible, you need to understand something terrifying about modern warfare. The F-35 isn't just a fighter jet. It's a flying supercomputer wrapped in stealth coding. 8 million lines of code, more software than your car, your phone, and your laptop combined. But here's the twist that nobody talks about. If you buy an F-35, you don't actually own the brain inside it. Yeah, you heard that right. Countries spend $100 million per aircraft, and they can't fully control what it does. Why? Because the United States controls every single software update, every threat database, every mission data file. And right now, European countries are asking, what happens if America decides to pull the plug? Let me paint you a picture. It's 2028. Russian forces are massing near the Polish border. The Netherlands scrambles its F-35 fleet. But there's a problem. The aircraft's threat recognition system is outdated. It can't identify the latest Russian missile signatures. It can't adapt to new radar jamming techniques. The pilots are flying blind in a digital sense, not because the jets are broken, but because the software update they needed was delayed by bureaucrats in Washington. This isn't science fiction. This is the nightmare scenario that Gijs Tuinman just made public. On February 14, 2026, he dropped this bombshell. If, despite everything, you still want to upgrade, I'm going to say something I should never say, but I will anyway. You can jailbreak an F-35 just like an iPhone. Then he added, I won't say more about it. But why would he even mention it? What's happening behind closed doors that we don't know about? The Netherlands isn't some minor player. They're a level 2 partner in the F-35 program. They've invested billions. They've retired their entire F-16 fleet and bet everything on the F-35. 58 aircraft ordered, over 40 already delivered. Their entire air defense depends on this single platform. And now their defense chief is publicly floating the idea of going rogue on the software. Here's what makes this truly explosive. He said this during the second Trump administration. Trump has been pressuring NATO allies to pay more, threatening to reduce American security guarantees. European capitals are thinking, what if America isn't reliable anymore? What if we need to defend ourselves without Uncle Sam's permission? The timing is not a coincidence. But before you think this is just European drama, let me tell you who else is watching this very carefully. Japan, Australia, South Korea, Singapore, every single F-35 operator in the Asia-Pacific is taking notes. Because if Europe has this problem with Russia on their doorstep, imagine Asia's situation with China. China is upgrading radar systems, deploying hypersonic missiles, building aircraft carriers. The threat environment changes monthly. And guess what? Asian F-35 operators also depend on American-controlled mission data files to recognize these threats. If those updates stop flowing, their $100 million jets become expensive paperweights in a shooting war. Japan is already hedging. They're developing the FX program for exactly this reason. South Korea is building the KF-21. Australia is pushing for sovereign industrial capacity. Nobody's saying it out loud, but everyone's thinking the same thing. We need an insurance policy. There's only one exception in the entire F-35 program, one country that negotiated true software independence. Can you guess which one? Israel. The F-35I Adir is the only variant that operates outside the standard American control system. Israel fought hard for the right to integrate their own avionics, their own electronic warfare systems, their own mission data. Why? Because Israel doesn't trust anyone else with their survival. When your enemies are literally next door, you can't wait for permission from Washington to update your threat libraries. But here's the kicker. What Israel got through years of negotiation, Tuinman is suggesting the Dutch could take by force through a jailbreak. So how would this actually work? Can you really hack an F-35 like jailbreaking an iPhone?
Let's get real about the tech. The F-35 software is protected by multiple layers: encrypted communications, secure boot architecture, hardware root of trust mechanisms, remote attestation. It's not like downloading an app. You're talking about bypassing military-grade encryption designed by the same people who protect nuclear launch codes. But Tuinman didn't say it was easy. He said it was possible. And in cybersecurity, possible means someone somewhere has figured it out or is very close. Think about it. Every system has vulnerabilities. iPhones were supposed to be unhackable. Game consoles were supposed to be pirate-proof. Even classified military networks have been breached. The difference is consequences. If you jailbreak your iPhone, Apple voids your warranty. If you jailbreak an F-35, you risk triggering failsafes that ground your fleet, legal sanctions from the United States, incompatibility with NATO systems, losing billions in industrial partnerships. But here's the strategic calculation European leaders are making. What if the alternative is worse? We're not just talking about software updates anymore. We're talking about the future of sovereignty itself. In World War II, if you controlled steel production, you controlled military power. In the Cold War, it was about nuclear technology. Today, it's about code, algorithms, encryption keys, threat databases. The country that controls the software controls the weapons, period. This is why Europe is racing to build sixth-generation fighters through programs like FCAS and GCAP. They're not trying to match the F-35, they're trying to escape the dependency. Spain, Switzerland, Portugal are all having second thoughts about buying F-35s specifically because of these black box concerns. Even the UK, America's closest ally and a Tier 1 partner, operates within the American-managed framework. They have assurances, but not true independence. Tuinman said, "We'll see whether the Americans will show their true colors. That's not a threat, that's a test. And the results of that test will determine the future of NATO and global military alliances." So here's where we stand. The Dutch defense chief just admitted that modern fighter jets can be jailbroken, not in some distant future, not theoretically, right now. Whether countries actually do it depends on one thing: trust. If America proves reliable, nobody touches the code. If Trump 2.0 creates doubt, if software updates get delayed, if political tensions rise, well, Tuinman just gave everyone the roadmap. The real question isn't technical, it's strategic. In a world where code is power, who do you trust with the keys to your national defense? The Pentagon is about to find out if their allies still think the answer is America. And if that answer changes, the $1.7 trillion F-35 program might face something far more dangerous than enemy missiles. It might face a rebellion from the inside. Drop a comment. Should countries have the right to modify military equipment they purchased, or does American oversight make us all safer?